The words sliced through my birthday dinner like shards of glass. You don't belong at this table. My daughter-in-law's voice echoed in the dining room. I had decorated myself. All conversation stopped. Forks hovered mid-air. Glasses were set down quietly. The silence that followed was so profound I could hear my own heartbeat thrumming in my ears. My hands still carried the scent of the spices I'd been grinding since dawn. I had awakened before sunrise to prepare her favorite dishes. Chicken in rich mole sauce, fresh tamales, rice simmered with vegetables, beans slow-cooked the traditional way. I had arranged flowers from my garden, the same roses my husband planted decades ago. I polished every surface, ironed the linen tablecloths my mother had passed down to me, arranged the good china. All for Sophia's celebration. And when I attempted to take my usual seat at the head of my own table, in the home my late husband Robert and I built together, she looked at me with pure contempt. That place is reserved for my mother, she declared, pointing dismissively. You can sit near the kitchen where you're useful. The stares from her friends burned into me. Some looked away in embarrassment. Others wore smug smiles. My son David stood beside her, his mouth agape but uttering no defense. How had my own child allowed things to reach this point? To understand this moment, we need to travel back 3 years. David arrived one spring afternoon with a glow I hadn't seen since his teenage years. Mom, I've met someone special, he announced, his eyes sparkling. I was tending to my vegetable patch when he shared the news. At 36, after 2 failed relationships, seeing him so hopeful filled my heart with joy. Her name is Sophia. She's intelligent, has a great career in marketing. We met at a conference. 2 weeks later, Sophia appeared at my doorstep with orchids and a flawless smile. She wore a tasteful navy dress, her hair perfectly styled. Elena, she said warmly, David has told me so much about you. It's an honor to meet the woman who raised such an incredible man. She said all the right things, asked about the family photographs, admired my garden, listened intently as I shared how Robert and I constructed this home ourselves. What an inspiring story, she remarked, touching my arm gently. Your generation possessed such strength. She completely won me over. 2 months later, she visited alone, appearing nervous. Elena, I need to ask you a significant favor. I'm launching my own bus. 2 weeks later, Sophia appeared at my doorstep with orchids and a flawless smile. She wore a tasteful navy dress, her hair perfectly styled. Elena, she said warmly, David has told me so much about you. It's an honor to meet the woman who raised such an incredible man. She said all the right things, asked about the family photographs, admired my garden, listened intently as I shared how Robert and I constructed this home ourselves. What an inspiring story, she remarked, touching my arm gently. Your generation possessed such strength. She completely won me over. 2 months later, she visited alone, appearing nervous. Elena, I need to ask you a significant favor. I'm launching my own business, but the bank declined my loan application. David doesn't know, I don't want to worry him. Could you possibly lend me $40,000? I'll repinus, but the bank declined my loan 2 weeks L. David doesn't know, I don't want to worry him. Could you possibly lend me $40,000? I'll repay everything within 6 months. She looked down, her eyes glistening. I had that money saved from years of selling my preserves at local markets. But she seemed so genuine. I don't need interest, I told her. You're practically family. She embraced me tearfully. I never saw that money again. When my sister Rosa met Sophia, she pulled me aside later. Elena, that woman has ambition written all over her. Did you notice how she examined every detail of your house? I dismissed her concerns. Even when my daughter Maria called from another state expressing worries about Sophia's expensive social media presence, I defended her. 6 months later, David announced their engagement. I know it's quick, Mom, but when you find the right person, you just know. I organized the entire wedding, spent my retirement savings on the venue, catering for hundreds, everything Sophia selected. I simply signed the checks. Thank you, Elena, she always said. I don't know what we'd do without you. Watching her walk down the aisle in a $15,000 dress, I felt an uneasy twinge in my chest. David gazed at her as if she were miraculous. Foolishly, I thought I was gaining a daughter. I didn't realize I was losing my son. The first few months seemed normal. They visited for Sunday dinners, helped with chores, called regularly. Then the changes began. They started arriving unannounced. One Saturday, I was cleaning in old clothes when I heard David's key in the lock. "Mom, I told you Sophia needed your kitchen today," he said. He hadn't mentioned anything, but I saw Sophia's tight smile and didn't protest. She marched straight to my kitchen and began reorganizing my spices. "Elena, how do you find anything in this chaos?" she commented, moving my things. "I know where everything is," I said gently. "No, alphabetical is much more efficient," she insisted. David remained in the living room, absorbed in his phone. 2 weeks later, they arrived with furniture catalogs. "Elena, that living room sofa looks so dated," Sophia remarked. "It's 23 years old," I replied. "Robert and I bought it when David turned 12. Look at these modern designs," she continued. "David and I could buy you a new one." "I like my sofa," I stated firmly. David shrugged. "Mom, maybe she has a point." I felt stung but remained silent. The next month, she focused on my mother's porcelain set in the display cabinet. "Elena, this china occupies so much space. When did you last use it?" "At Christmas," I lied, though I treasured it too much for regular use. "We could sell it. Antique porcelain brings good prices. You could update your wardrobe with the money." Heat rushed to my face. "My clothes are fine, and the china isn't for sale." "Just a suggestion," she said, raising her hands. But I was already deeply offended. Sophia didn't visit me, she inspected my life. The following months worsened. She began commenting on my refrigerator contents, my bathroom tiles, bringing replacement items without asking. Slowly, my home stopped feeling like mine. One afternoon after they left, I sat on my beloved sofa and wept for the first time since Robert's funeral. I felt like a guest in my own life. But the worst was yet to come. That Christmas changed everything. I had decorated with our traditional ornaments, the nativity scene Robert and I purchased on vacation, the lights we hung every year. I planned the menu as always. But Sophia had different ideas. She arrived with David unannounced, using the emergency key I'd given them. "Elena, wonderful news," she announced cheerfully. "I'm handling Christmas dinner this year." "I always prepare Christmas dinner," I responded. "I know, but it's too much work at your age. You should rest." I was 68, not infirm. "David," I appealed to my son, "this is my tradition." "Mom, Sophia has invited her family too. There will be 20 people." "It's too much for you." 20 people. Her family. In my home. On my Christmas. No one had consulted me. "This is my house," I stated firmly. David sighed impatiently. "Mom, don't start. Sophia only wants to help." "Don't start," as if I were a child throwing a tantrum. Christmas Eve arrived. Sophia transformed my living room into something unrecognizable. She removed my nativity scene, erected a minimalist silver tree, replaced my embroidered linens with plain white cloths. Her family arrived first, her mother Gloria, father Charles, siblings with their children, people I barely knew invading my space. Sophia's mother looked me over critically. "So you're the mother-in-law. Sophia has mentioned you." Her tone was assessing, as if evaluating property. I served the punch I'd made despite Sophia's objections. Her mother complimented her taste. This house desperately needed updating. My daughter Maria arrived with her family. She hugged me tightly. "Mom, where's Dad's nativity?" she whispered. "Sophia stored it away," I murmured. I saw Maria's jaw tighten. Sophia served roasted turkey with exotic sides. Nothing traditional. Everyone praised her cooking. I ate silently in a corner. After dinner, I offered to help clean. "No, Elena, you should rest. You're too elderly for this work." That phrase, "too elderly," shattered something inside me. I nodded and retreated to my room, crying silently beside Robert's photograph. Past midnight, heading to the bathroom, I overheard voices in the kitchen. Sophia and her mother. I froze in the hallway. "How soon do you think it will happen?" Gloria asked. "I'm not sure, but it needs to be soon. She's 68. At that age, anything could occur." Are you certain David will inherit the house? Obviously. He's the only son. The sister lives out of state. They laughed together. When it happens, Sophia continued, we sell immediately. This property is worth nearly $4 million. We'll buy something modern downtown. This neighborhood has declined. What if the old woman lives many more years? Silence. Then Sophia's cold reply, there are ways to accelerate things. Nursing homes. David is already considering it. He says his mother seems lonely here. I leaned against the wall, my legs trembling. My heart hammered so loudly I feared they might hear. My daughter-in-law, the woman I'd loaned money to, defended, welcomed as family, was waiting for me to die, planning to institutionalize me, planning to sell the home Robert and I built. And David knew. My son knew. Not only did he not defend me, he agreed. I returned to my room and sat awake until dawn. That Christmas, I didn't sleep. But I awakened to the truth. I spent 3 days in silence after Christmas. Maria returned home worried, calling nightly. I couldn't reveal what I'd overheard yet. I needed confirmation. On December 29th, I called David. Sweetheart, could you visit? Just you. We need to talk. Of course, Mom. I'll come this afternoon. He arrived at 5. Watching him enter, my heart ached. This was my baby, the boy I'd nursed through illnesses, cheered at graduations, the man his father taught to ride a bike in this very yard. When had I stopped recognizing him? What's wrong, Mom? You sound troubled. We sat on the sofa Sophia despised. I took a deep breath. David. On Christmas night, I heard Sophia speaking with her mother in the kitchen. His face shifted. He knew. They discussed this house, selling it after I'm gone, putting me in a care facility. The silence stretched painfully. Mom, it's not what you think. Then what is it, David? What part did I misunderstand? The segment where your wife awaits my death, or where you're considering locking me away? Mom, lower your voice. This is my home. I'll speak as I wish. David ran his hands through his hair nervously. I knew him well enough to see the lies forming. Sophia didn't mean it. She speaks without thinking sometimes. Don't make excuses. So you plan to sell my house? It's not just your house, Mom. Someday it will be mine too. It's my inheritance from Dad. Those words struck deeper than any insult from Sophia. Your father built this house for my security after he was gone. Not for you and your wife to treat like real estate. Mom, be realistic. You're alone here. This house is too large for one person. There are nice facilities with activities, people your age. I don't want to be with people my age. I want to be in my home. Where your sister was born, where your father died in my arms, where I've preserved every memory of our life. But Mom, think. We could visit more often if you were closer to our work. And this house, it's worth substantial money that Sophia and I could use for our future, for children. I sat down heavily. My legs wouldn't support me. Children? I whispered. You'll use money from my house to raise children who will never know this home, never know where their father grew up. You don't understand. You're right. I don't understand how my son became this person. David stood angrily. His eyes held no warmth, only impatience. I knew you'd react this way. That's why Sophia advised against telling you yet. You're too emotional. Emotional? Of course I'm emotional. We're discussing my life, my home. Look, Mom, I didn't come to argue. If you're just going to attack Sophia and make me feel guilty for considering my future, I should leave. David, please stay. Let's discuss this calmly. No, I know how this ends. You crying, me feeling like a terrible son. Well, you know what? I'm tired. Tired of feeling guilty for having my own life. Tired of everything revolving around your feelings. He walked to the door. I followed, pleading as I never imagined I would. David, please don't leave like this. You're my son. I love you. I just want to understand what's happening. He paused with his hand on the doorknob, looking over his shoulder. What's happening, Mom, is that you're no longer my priority. Sophia is. She's my wife, and if I must choose between you, I've already chosen. The door closed. I stood in the entryway, staring at the space where my son had been. The only child I had in this city. The boy who had been my entire world. And he had chosen a woman who wanted to erase my existence. I walked numbly to my room, sat on the bed, took my mother's rosary and prayed. Not for improvement but for strength. Because in that moment, I understood something fundamental. No one would rescue me. Not David, not Maria who lived far away, not even God himself. If I wanted to preserve my dignity, my home, my life, I would have to fight for them myself. And I would fight fiercely because sometimes a mother's love must transform into something colder, more strategic, more dangerous to survive. After that conversation, something within me shifted. Or perhaps something broke. I was no longer the accommodating mother who swallowed her pride and smiled. But I wasn't yet the woman who would confront everything. I existed in a dangerous in-between space, observing, documenting, preparing. While I prepared, Sophia advanced. January became the month of my complete humiliation. It began with David's call. Mom, Sophia and I are coming over. She wants to reorganize some areas. Which areas? I asked, my stomach tightening. Just the living room and dining room. She says there's too much clutter. They arrived that afternoon. Sophia brought boxes and garbage bags. Hello, Elena. We're doing a deep clean. You'll feel better with less clutter. She started in the living room, removing embroidered cushions my sister had given me. These are outdated. She took down the painting of the Virgin Mary Robert had hung. This makes the space feel old. My husband placed that painting there. We'll store it. A mirror would be better here, makes the room appear larger. David carried boxes without speaking, avoiding my gaze. The worst came when she entered my bedroom. Elena, we need to address your wardrobe. You have clothing from 20 years ago. Let me help you decide what stays. I don't need assistance with my clothes. Of course you do. Look, these dresses don't fit anymore. These sweaters have moth damage. We're discarding these. She began removing my garments, judging each piece. Dresses from my children's birthdays, blouses Robert gifted me, sweaters my mother knitted. Every item held memories. This goes, this too, she declared, tossing my life into black bags. Stop. I shouted. You're not discarding my clothing. Elena, be reasonable. You haven't worn these in years. They're occupying space. My space. My closet. My room. Sophia sighed with exaggerated patience. David, please come here. My son entered. Your mother won't accept my help. Explain this is for her benefit. David looked at me. I saw guilt in his eyes, but also resignation. Mom, Sophia is correct. You don't need all these clothes. Let her help. I sat on my bed and permitted it. What choice did I have? Resistance would label me difficult, stubborn, senile. Tears would make me overly emotional. There was no winning. They removed 5 bags of my clothing, 5 bags of memories destined for some landfill. But that was merely the beginning. The following week, Sophia arrived with a proposition. Elena, I have an idea. What if you assist me with some household tasks? It would keep you active. Doctors say elderly people need activity to avoid depression. What tasks? I'll be working from here twice weekly. If you could wash dishes, vacuum, prepare coffee, it would help greatly, and you wouldn't feel so isolated. Thus I became the maid in my own home on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Sophia arrived with her laptop, established herself at my dining table, surrounded by papers and coffee cups. And I washed her dishes, cleaned her messes, fetched water when she snapped her fingers without looking up. Elena, bring me a pillow for my back. Elena, have you washed the breakfast dishes? Elena, I need quiet for an important call. In my own home, at the table where I'd celebrated my children's birthdays, mourned Robert's passing, spent countless evenings sewing to save money, I was treated as a servant. And David did nothing. The few times he visited and witnessed it, he merely said, "It's good you're staying busy, Mom." But the breaking point arrived on a Thursday in February. Sophia was working as usual. I had prepared chicken soup, David's favorite since childhood. I set the table with my grandmother's china, served 3 plates. When Sophia finished her call, she sat down. I joined her. "What are you doing?" she asked, regarding me as if I were an insect in her food. "I'm eating lunch," I replied, confused. "No, Elena. I have another meeting shortly and need concentration. Eat in the kitchen, please." The world halted. "This is my table," I said, my voice trembling. "In my home?" "Yes, but I'm working. I require space. Besides, you usually eat in the kitchen, don't you? I've seen you do it frequently." She was right. For months during her visits, I'd eaten standing by the stove, nibbling cold tortillas, hiding in my own kitchen. "Sophia, please. Elena, don't complicate things. Just do as I ask." I stood, took my plate, walked to the kitchen on shaking legs, sat on the small stool by the stove where I peel vegetables, and there, eating my soup with trembling hands, tears falling into the bowl, I understood something terrible. I was no longer the owner of this house. I was a burden, an obstacle, an old woman in the way. That night, alone in bed, I looked at the ceiling and thought of Robert. "Forgive me," I whispered to his photograph. "Forgive me for not protecting what we built together, for letting them erase us." Then I remembered my husband's words 3 days before his death: "Elena, you're stronger than you realize. When I'm gone, you'll need to be. Promise me you'll never let anyone steal your dignity." I had promised him. Now was the time to honor that vow, because everything has its limit. There comes a point where pain transforms into something else, into clarity, into resolution, into a cold fire extinguished not by tears but by action. The discovery came accidentally. Or perhaps destiny provides tools exactly when needed most. It was a Tuesday in March. Sophia had arrived early to work. I was preparing coffee when her phone rang in the dining room. "Elena, can you answer that if it's the office? Tell them I'll call back in 5 minutes. I'm in the restroom." I picked up the phone. The screen showed Marcus. Not her office. I hesitated, but something compelled me to answer. "Hello, beautiful. Did you consult the lawyer?" asked a man's voice, young, confident. My blood turned to ice. "Who is this?" I asked. Silence. Then the voice turned nervous. "Sorry, wrong number." He disconnected. "Beautiful." He had called Sophia beautiful. I replaced the phone, hands shaking. When Sophia emerged, I was back in the kitchen, pretending nothing occurred. "Any calls?" she asked. "No, no one." I lied. That night, sleep escaped me. Did Sophia have a lover? Did David know? What was this about a lawyer? The following days, I watched her more closely, every call she took outside, every text she typed with a smile. On Thursday, my opportunity came. Sophia was in the bathroom, her purse left in the dining room. My heart pounded loudly. I knew it was wrong. I knew I shouldn't. But after months of humiliation, of being treated as invisible, rules no longer mattered. I opened her purse. Inside rested a blue folder. I removed it with trembling hands, opened it, and there on perfectly organized pages lay the entire truth. Legal documents. The first was a draft petition for conservatorship. My full name, Elena Consuelo Rodriguez. Date of birth, address. I read the lines, my vision blurring with tears. The alleged incapacitated person demonstrates clear signs of cognitive decline, forgets conversations, cannot manage finances, exhibits erratic behavior. Requests psychiatric evaluation to determine legal capacity, and appoint guardian. Every word was a carefully constructed legal falsehood designed to strip me of everything. I continued reviewing. More documents. Property appraisal, $3,850,000. Quotes from senior residences. Handwritten calculations. If we sell house $3,850,000 minus legal fees, $150,000 minus nursing home 5 years, $1,100,000 leaves $2,600,000 for us 5 years. They had allotted me 5 years to live and calculated the cost of imprisoning me while awaiting my death. But the worst was on the final pages, printed drafts of text messages. Sophia, I spoke with the lawyer Marcus. He says the process takes 6 months if she cooperates, 1 year if she resists. Marcus, what if David changes his mind? Sophia, he won't. I've convinced him it's best for his mother. He's weak. He does whatever I say. Marcus, I love you. My queen, when we have the house money, we'll go to Florida as we dreamed. Sophia, don't worry, my love. Everything proceeds according to plan. David suspects nothing. He believes I love him. When I get the house money, I'll divorce him and we'll leave. He'll have his guilt, and we'll have the life we deserve. Tears stained the pages. My daughter-in-law didn't just want to rob me, she wanted to erase me. While locking me in a facility to die alone, she planned to flee with her lover using money from the home Robert built. And David, my son, was merely a tool, a useful fool she manipulated. I heard the bathroom water stop. With shaking hands, I retrieved my old cell phone, the one Sophia said I should replace, and photographed every page, every document, every message. I returned the folder precisely as found and closed the purse as Sophia emerged. Are you all right, Elena? You look pale. I'm fine. Just slightly lightheaded. You should see a doctor at your age. These things are serious. She smiled at me, that perfect practice smile from 3 years of deception. Yes, perhaps I will, I replied, smiling back. That night after she left, I sat on my bed with the phone, reviewing the images repeatedly. Every word was a knife. But it was also ammunition. Now I possessed the complete truth, and truth, however painful, grants power. I called Maria. It was late, but she answered immediately. Mom, what's wrong? Honey, I need you to come. And I need you to recommend the best attorney you know. What happened? You're frightening me. I took a deep breath. What happened is that I've stopped being a victim, and it's time for Sophia to learn this old woman isn't as foolish as she believes. Silence. Then Maria's voice, firm and furious. I'll destroy her, Mom. I swear. No, honey. I'll handle that, but I need your assistance. You have it. Completely. I hung up and looked at Robert's photograph on the nightstand. Soon, my love. Soon I'll reclaim our dignity. Because there was something Sophia didn't comprehend. Women of my generation survived economic crises, raised children with nearly nothing, buried husbands and continued. We aren't fragile. We are steel, tempered in fire. And when we decide to fight, we show no mercy. Maria arrived 2 days later. I watched her exit the taxi with a large suitcase, knowing she came prepared to stay. My daughter inherited her father's character, strong, direct, uncompromising. Entering the house, she hugged me so tightly I felt all the tears I'd suppressed for months threatening to erupt. Oh, Mom, she whispered, you've lost so much weight. What have they done to you? I didn't answer, just held her tighter. That evening at the kitchen table over coffee, I showed her the photographs. I watched her face shift from disbelief to pure rage. That venomous snake, she muttered through clenched teeth. Mom, this is attempted fraud, financial abuse, conspiracy. We can press criminal charges. I don't want scandal. Not yet. First, I must protect the house, protect myself, then we'll see. Maria nodded, took her phone, dialed a number. Mr. Gutierrez. Maria Rodriguez. Henry's daughter. I need your urgent assistance regarding my mother. Mr. Gutierrez had been my husband's attorney for 30 years, a man in his 70s who still believed in honor and integrity. Robert trusted him completely. The next day, Mr. Gutierrez arrived with his worn leather briefcase and bifocals. He sat in my living room, examined the images on his tablet with intense concentration. Finishing, he removed his glasses and looked at me with sorrow. Elena, this is grave. Very grave. This woman isn't merely committing fraud, she's attempting to steal your life. I know. But we have advantages. First, I'm completely lucid. Any psychiatric evaluation would confirm that. Second, we have evidence of her scheme. Third, we can act before she does. What do you propose? Mr. Gutierrez opened his briefcase, produced documents. I propose 3 actions. First, immediately modify your will. Second, establish a trust protecting this house. Third, gather additional evidence for the confrontation. Explain the trust. It's straightforward. We transfer house ownership to a trust with you as sole beneficiary. While you live, you maintain complete control. You can reside here, rent it, sell it if desired, but David cannot inherit it directly. Upon your passing, the trust distributes according to your instructions, to grandchildren, Maria, Charity, whatever you choose. Sophia will never touch it. A weight lifted from my chest. And David can't intervene. Nothing. The house ceases being part of your direct inheritance. Even if they attempted conservatorship, which wouldn't succeed, they couldn't touch the trust. Let's proceed. We spent 3 days preparing everything. Mr. Gutierrez brought documents. I signed. Maria photographed every page, saved copies online, on her computer, on multiple flash drives. In this family, we trust no one now, my daughter stated with bitter irony. We also scheduled a private psychiatric evaluation. Dr. Fernandez visited, questioned me for 2 hours, administered memory tests, reasoning exercises, orientation assessments. Finally, she smiled. Mrs. Rodriguez, your mind is sharper than many 50-year-olds. I'll provide a detailed report for legal use if anyone questions your capacity. But the plan's most crucial element remained missing, additional evidence. Mom, we need to record her, Maria said. Not just documents. We need her voice confessing everything. How? My daughter smiled, that smile she inherited from her father when he had a brilliant idea. Leave it to me. Maria purchased a tiny recording device. We concealed it in a living room vase where Sophia always sat working. When she speaks with her lover, we'll record everything, Maria explained. And when the perfect moment arrives, we confront her. When will that be? Maria looked at me determinedly. When she feels most secure, when she believes she's already won, that's when predators lower their guard. Over the next 2 weeks, we recorded everything. Every conversation Sophia had with Marcus, every derogatory comment about me when she thought I wasn't listening, every cruel laugh. Almost, my love. The lawyer says we can file the petition in 2 months. And if the old woman fights? It doesn't matter. I have David completely controlled. He'll sign anything I place before him. We discovered more. Sophia had obtained credit cards in David's name without his knowledge. She owed over $200,000. She had forged my son's signature on documents. She wasn't just a manipulator, she was a criminal. One afternoon while Sophia worked in my dining room, Maria and I listened live via her phone. We heard her speaking with Marcus. I'm tired of pretending, my love. Tired of smiling at the old woman, tolerating David, but it's worthwhile. Nearly 4 million justifies any sacrifice. Maria squeezed my hand. I squeezed back. Soon, Mom, she whispered. Very soon. That evening after Sophia left, I sat with Maria and Mr. Gutierrez. On the table lay all documents, the signed trust, modified will, recordings, photographs, psychiatric report, fraudulent credit card statements. Everything is ready, Mr. Gutierrez stated. Now we require the moment. What moment? I asked. Maria smiled, a smile that gave me chills and hope simultaneously. Your birthday, Mom. April 15th. 3 weeks away. We'll host a dinner. Invite David, Sophia, Aunt Rosa, some neighbors. There, before everyone, we'll reveal your daughter-in-law's true nature. Isn't that excessively cruel? Cruel? Maria leaned forward. Mom, she planned to lock you in a nursing home and steal Dad's house. Cruel doesn't begin to describe it. This is justice. Mr. Gutierrez cleared his throat. Elena, we can do this privately if you prefer. Less drama, less pain. I considered all the humiliation, eating in my kitchen, watching my memories discarded, hearing my son say I was no longer his priority. No, I stated firmly. Let it be public. Let everyone see what she did. Let David see whom he married. Let Sophia's mother see what kind of daughter she raised. Maria smiled. Mr. Gutierrez nodded. Then prepare yourselves, the attorney said. Because this will be memorable. And it certainly was, because there are moments when you cease being prey and become the hunter, when silence shatters and truth explodes like fire. And I was ready to burn away every falsehood until only ashes remained. April 15th dawned clear. Ironic, I thought, since a storm approached. Sophia had insisted on helping with my birthday preparations. This time, I accepted with a smile. She believed I was finally submitting. She didn't realize she walked directly into her own trap. Elena, let me handle everything. You relax and enjoy your day, she had said the previous week. Thank you, Sophia. You're so kind to me. The words tasted like poison, but I spoke them sweetly. Maria had officially returned home, but actually stayed with my sister Rosa nearby. She would arrive as a birthday surprise that morning. I rose at 5 as usual, prepared tamales, mole, hibiscus tea, everything for a proper celebration. Sophia would arrive at 2 to supervise and add her modern touches. But this time, she didn't know every detail was calculated. Mr. Gutierrez had installed discrete cameras in the living room, streaming live to his phone. Maria had access too. We wanted to record everything occurring that evening. At 2 precisely, Sophia arrived with David. She brought metallic balloons displaying 69 in huge numbers. David carried a cake. Happy birthday, Mom. My son kissed my forehead. For a moment, I forgot everything. He was my baby. Then I saw Sophia behind him with that calculating smile, and I remembered. Thank you, sweetheart. Sophia began rearranging the living room. She replaced my flowers with hers, changed tablecloths, moved chairs. Every gesture declared, this is mine, not yours. I allowed it. I smiled. I nodded. I thanked her. Oh, Elena, you look lovely today. Is that a new dress? No, it's 10 years old, but I maintain it well. Well, it's beautiful. Lies wrapped in honey. Guests began arriving at 6. My sister Rosa with her husband, neighbors who'd known me for decades, Sophia's friends, 5 elegant women regarding me with condescending pity, Sophia's mother Gloria with her pearl necklace and superior air. Finally, at 6:30, Maria arrived. Surprise, Mom, she exclaimed from the doorway. I rushed to embrace her. This time, my tears were genuine. My daughter, my rock, my strength. I saw Sophia pale. She hadn't expected Maria. She exchanged a nervous glance with David. What a surprise, sister-in-law, Sophia said, her voice tense. We didn't know you were coming. Of course, it's my mother's birthday. Where else would I be? The tension grew palpable. We sat for dinner. Sophia had arranged the seating. She sat at the head with David beside her, her mother at the other end, and I was relegated to the side near the kitchen, exactly where she wanted me. I served the mole past the tortillas. Sophia received compliments for organizing such a lovely dinner. I remained invisible until I attempted to sit in an empty chair at the main table. That seat is for my mother, Sophia declared loudly enough for all conversation to cease. You sit over there near the kitchen in case we need anything served. Silence fell completely. Sophia's friends looked away uncomfortably. The neighbors' eyes widened in shock. Rosa stood, furious, but Maria placed a hand on her arm. Wait, my daughter whispered. David had his mouth open but said nothing. As always. I remained standing, holding my plate, feeling 20 pairs of eyes fixed on me. Then something within me clicked. No more fear, only clarity. I stood slowly, very slowly. I placed my plate gently on the table. I walked to the stereo playing the cheerful music Sophia had selected and turned it off. The silence became heavy, dense. Then I walked to the kitchen, turned off the stove gas. The flame died with a whisper. The pot ceased bubbling. I returned to the living room. Everyone stared as if I'd lost my mind. I smiled, a calm, serene smile. I want to thank you all for coming to celebrate in my home, I said clearly. Yes, my home, because although my daughter-in-law frequently forgets, this property belongs to me, every brick, every window, every corner Robert and I built 40 years ago. Sophia stood. Elena, what are you doing? We're in the middle of dinner. Sit down, Sophia, I said firmly. I haven't finished. Something in my tone made her obey. She sat, pale. Maria rose and brought a laptop, connecting it to the living room television. Mr. Gutierrez emerged from the kitchen where he'd been waiting silently. You see, I continued, I've been very foolish these past months, very naive. I permitted myself to be treated like a servant in my own home. I allowed my memories to be discarded. I let them make me feel like a burden. Mom, what are you talking about? David asked, confused. I'm talking about this. Maria pressed a key. The television screen displayed the document photographs. The conservatorship petition. The nursing home quotes. The calculations of remaining money after imprisoning me. Murmurs erupted. Sophia's friends covered their mouths. The neighbors shook their heads in disbelief. Gloria, Sophia's mother, turned white. What is this? David shouted, jumping up. Sophia, I don't, it's taken out of context, my daughter-in-law stammered. Context? I said coldly. What context does the old woman won't last much longer require? Or when we have the house money? Maria advanced to the next image, the messages with Marcus. Sophia stood as if electrocuted. Turn that off. You have no right. I have every right. It's my home, my birthday, and my truth. The messages projected one after another onto the large screen. Every word was a hammer blow. Every sentence a conviction. David is weak. He does whatever I say. When I have the money, I'll file for divorce. I love you, Marcus. Soon we'll be in Florida. David read with his mouth open, hands shaking, tears streaming. No, this can't be, he whispered. Oh, but there's more, Maria said sharply. Here's the history of credit cards you obtained in my brother's name without consent. 230,000 in debt, documents with forged signatures. Mr. Gutierrez stepped forward. Which constitutes bank fraud, document forgery, and marriage for profit with intent to defraud. All criminally prosecutable. Sophia looked for an exit, but Maria blocked the front door and rose of the kitchen. Sit down, Sophia, I repeated. If you attempt to leave, Mr. Gutierrez has contacts at the prosecutor's office. You can depart in handcuffs or with dignity. Your choice. She slumped into her chair, defeated. Her mother stood angrily. This is a setup, a conspiracy against my daughter. No, Gloria, Rosa said venomously. This is justice. Your daughter tried to steal my sister's life and nearly succeeded. Guests began retrieving phones. Some recorded, others sent messages. Within minutes, the entire neighborhood would know. Sophia cried now, face in hands. But I felt no pity, only cold emptiness where maternal affection once resided. I looked at David. My son was devastated, staring at the woman he'd married as if she were a stranger. David, I said softly, I gave you life. I raised you. I loved you. And you chose this woman over me. But you know what? It no longer matters. I approached him, placed my hand on his wet cheek. Because I also chose. I chose my dignity over your love, and I don't regret it. Revenge, I discovered that night, isn't a dish best served cold. It's a mirror you force others to peer into, and sometimes the reflection destroys them more than any punishment. Sophia wept into her hands, but I knew these weren't tears of remorse. They were tears of rage, of frustration at being caught. I understood her too well now. David remained standing, staring at the screen images as if watching his life disintegrate. And in a sense, he was. Mom. His voice was a broken whisper. I didn't know about the lover, the cards. I thought she genuinely cared about you, that the nursing home was for your benefit. For my benefit, I interrupted, my voice harsher than intended. David, your wife calculated how many years I had left. 5. She gave me 5 years. Does that sound like concern to you? He couldn't answer. Maria changed the screen image. But wait, because this is only the beginning, my daughter said with a cold smile. Mom, do you want to tell them, or shall I? I looked at her and nodded. Time for the final detonation. Proceed, my daughter. Maria connected an audio cable to the television. The room fell completely silent. Even Sophia's friends, who previously defended her with their gazes, had distanced themselves as if she carried contagion. What you're about to hear, Maria explained, are recordings of phone conversations Sophia had in this house over the past 2 weeks, all legally recorded on my mother's private property with her consent. She pressed play. Sophia's voice filled the room, clear, confident, devoid of the sweet tone she used with me. Almost, my love. The lawyer says we can file the conservatorship petition in 2 months. He knows a psychiatrist who for $50,000 will sign the required report. Marcus's voice replied, and if the old woman resists? I've heard these processes can take years. It doesn't matter. I have a backup plan. I can medication her food. Substances to make her appear confused, forgetful. With neighbor testimonies and a couple of staged incidents, any judge will declare her incompetent. My stomach turned. I recalled times I felt dizzy after eating Sophia's food, moments I forgot simple things, and wondered if I were losing my memory. She had been slowly poisoning me. That's a lie. Sophia screamed, jumping up. They edited that recording. That isn't my voice. Oh, really? Maria smiled. Mr. Gutierrez, could you explain to the lady about recording authenticity? The attorney adjusted his glasses. The recordings underwent analysis by a forensic audio expert. He confirmed no editing, voice authenticity. I have the notarized report here. We also identified the number this Marcus called from. It's traced, he lives in Florida as mentioned. He's 28 with a fraud record. Sophia sought support from her mother, but Gloria sat with her face in her hands, ashamed. The recording continued. And David, does he suspect anything? Not at all. He's so predictable. I tell him his mother is losing her mind, and he believes me. I tell him we need this house, and he's convinced it's for our future. He's weak, Marcus. He always has been. His father died when he was young, so he never had a strong figure to teach him character. He's perfect to manipulate. David sank into the nearest chair. He had lost all color. One of Sophia's friends stood wordlessly and left. Then another and another. Within 2 minutes, all Sophia's friends had departed. Only the neighbors, my family, Gloria, and David remained. There's more, Maria stated relentlessly. Another recording. This time, Sophia spoke with someone else, an older woman's voice. Mrs. Mendez, thank you for agreeing to testify if needed. You simply state you saw Mrs. Rodriguez confused, talking to herself, forgetting to lock her door. I'll pay $30,000 for your testimony. And if they question me extensively in court? Don't worry. The attorney will prepare everything. You just confirm what we discussed. Our neighbor Raul stood, furious. That's Alma Mendez, 3 houses down. She asked me recently if I'd noticed you acting strange lately. I told her you were perfectly fine. Now I understand. Sophia wasn't crying anymore. She sat motionless, a statue of ice, knowing each passing second buried her deeper. I'd like to clarify something, Mr. Gutierrez said, stepping forward. Mrs. Rodriguez voluntarily underwent a complete psychiatric evaluation 3 weeks ago. The results show full mental faculties, no cognitive decline, no confusion. In fact, her memory and reasoning abilities exceed average for her age. He produced a folder with official documents, placing them on the table. Any attempt to declare her incompetent would have been immediately dismissed, but the emotional damage and legal time wasting, that was part of the plan, wasn't it, Sophia? To keep her occupied with lawsuits, spending on attorneys while you continued manipulating David. Sophia finally spoke with a venomous tone I'd never heard. So what if it was? This old woman has more than she needs, a huge house all to herself, money saved for what? To die and let it rot. At least I would put those resources to use. The audacity left me speechless. Resources, I repeated slowly. That's what you call the home my husband built. Resources. Call it whatever you want. The reality is you're in the way. David is too weak to tell you, but I'm not. You're obstructing your own life, clinging to the past, to memories, to old things that don't matter anymore. I was trying to free you from that. Free me. I approached her. For the first time, I felt pure hatred. Free me by locking me in a nursing home. By poisoning me to appear senile. By stealing the house my husband constructed with his hands. Your husband is dead, Sophia spat, and you should be too, you miserable old. The silence that followed was so profound I heard my own heartbeat. David stood slowly, walked to Sophia, and for the first time in 3 years, I saw fury in my son's eyes. "Get out of this house," he said, his voice trembling with contained rage. "Now." "David, now," he shouted with a strength I never knew he possessed. "Get out before I call the police myself." Sophia looked at him with pure hatred. Then she looked at me. Her eyes held no remorse, only fury at having lost. "This isn't over," she said in a low, threatening voice. Maria stepped forward. "Oh yes, Sophia. It ends here because we have copies of everything in multiple secure locations. If you attempt anything against my mother or brother, this goes to the prosecutor's office within an hour. And believe me, with this evidence, you'd serve years in prison." Mr. Gutierrez added, "I've also prepared a restraining order. If you come within 200 yards of this property or Mrs. Rodriguez, you go directly to jail." "Understood." Sophia grabbed her purse. Her mother followed silently, head bowed. Before leaving, Sophia turned one last time. "You'll regret this, old woman. You'll die alone and forgotten." I smiled, calm and serene. "I'd rather die alone with dignity than surrounded by snakes like you." The door closed behind her, and for the first time in 3 years, I could breathe in my own home because the greatest victory isn't destroying your enemy, it's reclaiming what they took from you. Your voice, your space, your power. And I had just reclaimed all 3. When the door closed behind Sophia, the house settled into heavy silence. The neighbors departed with sincere hugs and supportive looks. Raoul squeezed my hand before leaving. "Elena, if you need anything, we're 3 houses away." "Thank you, Raoul." Rosa hugged me tightly. "Sister, I'm so proud of you. Robert would be proud." I nodded, unable to speak. If I spoke, I would cry. And I didn't want to cry yet. When everyone left, only Maria, Mr. Gutierrez, David, and I remained. My son sat on the sofa Sophia hated, head in hands, his body shaking. From rage, shame, or pain, likely all 3. Maria sat beside him, placed a hand on his shoulder. "David, no," he said in a broken voice. "Don't say anything. There's nothing to say." "There's much to say," my daughter replied firmly but without cruelty. "It can wait." Mr. Gutierrez cleared his throat. "Elena, David, we need to discuss legal aspects, the divorce, debts, restraining order." "Mr. Gutierrez," I said softly, "could you return tomorrow? I think tonight we need to process first." The attorney nodded understandingly. "Of course. I'll leave you as a family. Call if you need anything." He approached, kissed my forehead as my father used to. "You did the right thing, Elena. Robert would be very proud." When he left, the 3 of us remained. My real family, broken but real. David finally lifted his head. His eyes were red, swollen. He appeared to have aged 10 years in one night. "Mom, his voice broke. "I don't even know where to begin." I sat across from him. Maria moved to an armchair, giving us space. "Start at the beginning," I said softly. "I'm sorry." Tears streamed freely down his face. "I'm so sorry. I was a coward. An idiot." "An idiot," I said simply. "You were." He winced as if struck. But I continued. "You were also manipulated. Sophia was highly skilled at what she did. It's no excuse." He wiped his face angrily. "I saw how she treated you. I saw you change, become smaller every day. And I did nothing. I chose to believe her instead of trusting my instinct." "Why?" Maria asked. Her voice wasn't accusatory, just genuinely curious. "Why did you choose to believe her?" David took a deep breath, searching for words. "Because she made me feel important. After Dad died, I felt lost, like I had to be the man of the house. But I didn't know how. Sophia arrived and made me feel strong, capable, like I could be someone. And when she told me Mom was being difficult, that she needed help, that I was doing the right thing, I wanted to believe her because the alternative was accepting that I was failing everyone." "David," I said, feeling my heart break, "your father never expected you to be the man of the house. He just expected you to be a good person." He collapsed completely. He fell to his knees before me, sobbing like a hurt child. Forgive me, Mom. Please. Forgive me. I let her humiliate you. I let her plan to lock you away. I let her make you feel invisible in your own home. How can you even look at me? I embraced him. Not because everything was fine. Not because the pain vanished, but because he was my son. Despite everything, he remained my son. David, I won't lie to you. It hurt. It hurt more than I can express to feel my own son had abandoned me. I know. I know. And I can never make up for it. I took his face in my hands, forcing him to look at me. I don't expect you to make up for it, but I do expect you to learn that you never again allow anyone to make you betray those you love. I promise you. His hands trembled holding mine. I swear on Dad's memory, it will never happen again. Maria joined the embrace. The three of us cried together, releasing years of pain, betrayal, and silence. After a long time, we separated. Maria brought tissues. We wiped our faces as best we could. David, I continued, Mr. Gutierrez explained you have $230,000 in debts from cards Sophia obtained in your name. He nodded miserably. I'm going to help you. I won't pay all of it because you need to learn responsibility, but I'll cover half if you work to pay the other half through additional employment or whatever necessary. Understood. Mom, you don't have to. Yes, I do because you're my son, and I won't let one bad decision ruin your life, but I won't solve everything for you either. Thank you. His voice was a whisper. I don't deserve your help. Probably not, I said with a small smile. But that's a mother's love, unconditional and irrational. Maria served coffee. We sat at the kitchen table where so many important conversations had occurred over the years. So what's next? My daughter asked. David needs to divorce as soon as possible, I said. Mr. Gutierrez can handle that. Sophia will want money, I'm certain. Let her try, Maria growled. With all our evidence, she won't receive a cent. I don't want to see her ever again, David stated firmly. I don't want her money back. I don't want explanations. I don't want anything. I just want her gone from my life. She will be, I assured him. The restraining order ensures that. We sat silently for several minutes, processing everything. Finally, David spoke. Mom, I know I can't live here again. Not after everything. But can I visit? Can we try to rebuild this? I looked into his eyes. I saw genuine remorse. I saw my son, not the manipulated man he'd been. Yes, I said slowly. With time. But yes. He wiped his tears again. I don't deserve you. Maybe not. But you have me anyway, because forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. It means choosing love over resentment, family over pride. But that forgiveness has conditions. It has limits. And this time, I would set those limits very clearly. The next morning brought strange clarity. I slept deeply for the first time in months. Upon waking, Maria was already preparing coffee. Good morning, Mom. How do you feel? Free, I answered honestly. For the first time in 3 years, I feel free. We ate breakfast peacefully, scrambled eggs, refried beans, warm tortillas. Simple food that tasted heavenly after months of eating with anxiety-tightened stomach. At 10, Mr. Gutierrez arrived with a briefcase of documents. David came half an hour later with dark circles but determined expression. We sat in the living room. The attorney spread papers on the coffee table. All right, let's address this systematically. First, the divorce. David, with our evidence, we can process and express divorce on grounds of deception, fraud, emotional infidelity. You owe her nothing. How long? With a cooperative judge and our evidence, 3 months maximum. Sophia might fight but she'll lose. Her attorneys will advise her to sign. Perfect. Second, Mr. Gutierrez continued, the credit cards. We have proof of signature forgery. David can press criminal charges and the banks will cancel the debts. However, he paused, if David presses charges, Sophia faces prison, likely 3 to 5 years. Silence filled the room. I looked at my son. He stared at his hands. Do I want her imprisoned? He muttered more to himself. Part of me does. Part of me wants her to suffer as she made you suffer, as she made Mom suffer. David, I said softly, this decision is yours. No one will judge your choice. But Mom, she planned to poison you, institutionalize you, steal your home. Doesn't she deserve punishment? I considered carefully before responding. She deserves consequences. Yes. But prison? Son, you must live with your decision. Ask yourself, will imprisoning her bring you peace or more bitterness? David closed his eyes. He took several deep breaths. I don't want to be like her, he said finally. I don't want to be cruel, but I also don't want her to escape consequences. There's a middle ground, Mr. Gutierrez suggested. We pressure her to sign the divorce on very favorable terms. She assumes all debt responsibility, renounces future claims. If she complies, we don't press charges. If she doesn't comply or bothers you again, everything goes to the prosecutor. That, David said with relief. That sounds fair. All right, I'll contact her today. We spent the next 2 hours reviewing documents. The house trust was perfect. My updated will protected my grandchildren. Everything was in order. At 2 that afternoon, Mr. Gutierrez's phone rang. It's her, he said. He placed it on speaker. Mr. Gutierrez. Sophia's voice sounded tired, defeated. Mrs. Sophia, I'm calling on behalf of David Rodriguez. We have a proposal. I'm listening. Mr. Gutierrez explained the terms. Immediate divorce. She assumes all debts, waives any financial compensation, permanent restraining order. And if I accept? Sophia asked after a long silence. We won't press criminal charges for fraud, forgery, or attempted dispossession. You have my word. And the old woman agrees? Mrs. Rodriguez, Mr. Gutierrez corrected emphatically, is present. And yes, she agrees. Another silence. I need 48 hours to consider. You have 24. After that, charges go directly to the prosecutor. That's blackmail. No, ma'am. It's justice. Your decision. Sophia hung up without goodbye. Maria shook her head. To the end, not a shred of decency. The next day at 11, Sophia arrived accompanied by a young, nervous attorney. She didn't enter the house. Mr. Gutierrez met them outside with documents. From the window, I saw them arguing for 20 minutes. Sophia gesticulated, shouted. Her attorney seemed to be calming her. Finally, with trembling hands, she signed. Mr. Gutierrez returned with signed, notarized papers. It's done. Legally. It's over. David took the documents, examining them as if unable to believe they were real. It's over, he whispered. It's truly over. But I knew something was missing. Sophia had signed, yes, but she hadn't truly paid for the emotional damage, for the nights I wept, for the dignity she tried to steal. Mr. Gutierrez, I said, may I ask one final favor? Certainly, Elena. I want you to give something to Sophia. I went upstairs, retrieved a small box from my closet containing $10,000 cash. I also included a note I'd written that morning. I descended and gave the box to Mr. Gutierrez. What is this? He asked, confused. Give this to Sophia. Tell her it's so she cannot claim I left her destitute. That it's more than she deserves, but less than what it will cost her to live with her conscience. Mr. Gutierrez smiled, a smile of pure admiration. You're incredible, Elena. He went out, gave her the box. From the window, I watched Sophia's face. She opened the box, read the note, her face crumpled not in sadness but impotent rage. Because I had given her money. I had shown mercy. And that was worse than any revenge. It proved I was the better person. That I had won not through cruelty, but by maintaining my dignity to the end. Sophia took the box and left without looking back. I never saw her again. Because the real victory isn't in destroying your enemy. It's in proving their evil didn't change you, that you remained yourself despite the poison. And that ultimately, light always triumphs over darkness. The first days after Sophia's departure felt strange. The house seemed different, as if exorcised. Maria stayed 2 more weeks before returning home. Mom, are you sure you'll be all right alone? She asked her departure morning. More than all right, honey. For the first time in years, this home feels like mine again. I hugged her at the door, watching her taxi depart. When she left, I closed the door and stood in the entryway. Silence. Peace. Mine. I walked through every room, reclaiming my space. I retrieved the Virgin Mary painting Sophia had stored and rehung it. I returned my embroidered cushions to the sofa. I placed photographs of Robert and the children throughout. The house breathed again. David didn't visit for a week. I understood he needed time to process, to heal. When he finally called, his voice sounded different, more mature. Mom, can I come tomorrow? Just to visit. I won't stay long. I just need to see you. Of course, sweetheart. He arrived the next day with white carnations, my favorites. Not expensive roses, not flashy arrangements. Simple white carnations reminiscent of those Robert brought me every Friday. I didn't know what to bring, he said shyly at the door. They're perfect. I made coffee and sweet bread. We sat in the kitchen, not the living room, the place where important conversations always occurred. Mom, I moved to a small downtown apartment. It's different, but it's mine. No memories of her. I'm glad, son. I also started therapy twice weekly. The therapist says I have codependency issues. He laughed bitterly. Low self-esteem. Imagine, 37 years old and just discovering I don't know who I am without someone directing me. David, we all have things to address. The important thing is you're addressing them. Can I ask you something? Anything. How did you manage to forgive me? Because I still can't forgive myself. I set my cup down. I thought carefully. I haven't completely forgiven you yet, I said honestly. And perhaps I never entirely will. But I love you, and I chose love over resentment. That doesn't mean the pain disappeared. It means I decided not to let that pain turn me bitter. His eyes filled with tears. I don't deserve that love. No one deserves love. It's given or not. And I choose to give it to you, but this time with clear limits. What limits? That you never again allow anyone to disrespect me. That you include me in important decisions, not for permission but respect. That if you ever have another partner, she understands from the beginning that I'm your mother and deserve consideration. I promise you. He took my hand. Mom, I'll spend the rest of my life showing you I can be better. I don't need the rest of your life, David. I just need you to be honest with me. That's all. The visits became regular. On Sundays, David came for dinner. I prepared his favorites. We discussed his work, therapy, life. Gradually, I came to know the man he was becoming, more aware, stronger. A month later, he brought someone. Mom, I'd like you to meet Clara. She was a woman around 35 with short brown hair and glasses. She dressed simply, jeans and a white blouse. She brought a container. Mrs. Rodriguez, it's an honor. David has told me so much about you. She extended the container. I made oatmeal cookies. I hope you like them. Not expensive flowers. Not perfect words. Homemade cookies prepared with her own hands. Thank you, Clara. Please come in. During the meal, Clara asked about my life, about Robert, how we met, building the house. She listened genuinely, asked intelligent questions. When I mentioned my garden, she brightened. Could you show me? I love plants but never learned to care for them properly. We spent an hour in the garden. I showed her my roses, my vegetable patch, my herbs. Clara took notes on her phone, asked questions, got her hands dirty touching soil. When they left, David remained momentarily at the door. What did you think? She seems genuine. Humble. Real. She is. She's an elementary teacher. Doesn't earn much but loves her work. She doesn't care about my money, or house, or anything material. Just me. Do you love her? It's early to know, but I like how she makes me feel calm, like I can breathe. Then give it time. No rushing. And if it becomes serious, I'd like to know her better. You can count on that, Mom. Months passed. Summer arrived with hot afternoons. I began replanting the garden with Rosa. I invited neighbors for coffee. I resumed knitting classes abandoned when Sophia controlled my time. One July afternoon while watering plants, my phone rang, an unknown number. "Hello, Mrs. Rodriguez." A young woman's voice, nervous. "Yes. Who is this?" "My name is Andrea." I was Sophia's friend. My stomach tightened. "What do you want?" "I just needed to tell you something. Sophia called recently. She's in Florida with that Marcus, but he left her. She ran out of money, he evicted her. Now she works in a restaurant washing dishes." I felt no satisfaction, only sad emptiness. "Why tell me this?" "Because you were right. Everything you said that birthday night was true. Sophia used me too. Borrowed money, never repaid. When I confronted her, she blocked me. I wanted you to know that not all of us were like her. Some realized too late who she truly was. Thank you for calling, Andrea. Did you forgive him? Your son, I mean. I'm in the process. He's so lucky. Sophia will never have that. No one will forgive her. Her own mother stopped speaking to her. We hung up. I stood in the garden, hose in hand, thinking. Sophia had lost everything. I had recovered everything that mattered because true wealth was never in the house or money. It was in sleeping peacefully, owning your life, having family that loves you, not uses you. And that no one could ever take from me again. A full year had passed since that birthday night that changed everything. April again, air scented with fresh roses. I was preparing mole when the doorbell rang. I checked the clock, 11. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened the door to find David with a nervous smile. "Hi, Mom. Do you have time?" "I always have time for you, my son. Come in." He entered but stood in the living room, hands in pockets, like a teenager with important news. "What is it, David? You're making me nervous." "Mom, Clara and I have been officially dating 10 months, and I want to propose." My heart skipped. After everything, the word marriage chilled me. "Sit down, son. Let's talk." We sat. David looked different from the men married to Sophia. He had light in his eyes, peace on his face. "I know what you're thinking, after Sophia, how can I trust my judgment?" "But Mom, Clara is different. Completely." "Tell me." "She spent a year getting to know you. Not because I asked, but because she wanted to. She asks about you weekly. When you had your checkup, she offered to accompany you without my suggesting it. When you turned 70 recently, she reminded me repeatedly to call." It's true. Clara had been present in small, consistent ways. She sent student photos, invited me to school plays, sought recipe advice. "Do you love her?" I asked directly. "Yes, but not like I loved Sophia." With Sophia, it was obsession, need, fear of loneliness. With Clara, it's tranquility. It's being myself without masks. It's knowing if I lost my job tomorrow, she'd remain. Not for my money, but for me. And what does she say? "I haven't proposed yet. Because first, I needed your blessing, not permission, Mom." "Your blessing?" I felt tears welling. A year ago, I would have said yes to anything to make him happy, ignored warning signs. But now, I ask honestly, does Clara make you happy? Does she respect you? Does she respect your family? To all three, yes. Then you have my blessing. David hugged me tightly. "Thank you, Mom. And there's one more thing. When I propose, I want to do it here in your garden where Dad planted the roses. Would you allow that? This house is yours too, David. It always has been." "No, Mom. It stopped being mine when I permitted Sophia to disrespect you here. But I'd like it to be a place of good memories again, of new beginnings." 2 weeks later, we organized a family dinner. Just us, Maria with her family, Rosa with her husband, David, Clara, and me. I strung lights in the garden. Clara believed it was a simple family gathering. She didn't know what approached. After dessert, David stood. "Clara, there's something I want to tell you." She looked confused. David took her hand, led her into the garden. We all followed. A year ago, I was at my lowest. I'd lost everything, my marriage, my dignity. I nearly lost my family. Then you came. Clara had her hands over her mouth, eyes wide. You didn't arrive with grand promises or expensive gifts. You came with homemade cookies and sincere questions. You taught me love isn't possession or control. It's respect. It's peace. It's wanting the best for the other, even when it doesn't benefit you. He knelt, produced a small box. Clara, would you honor me by becoming my wife? I don't promise perfection, but I promise honesty. I don't promise wealth, but I promise hard work. And I promise my family, especially my mother, will always have the place she deserves in our lives. Clara cried. I cried. Maria cried. Even my grandchildren were emotional. Yes, Clara whispered. 1,000 times yes. They kissed under the roses Robert planted 40 years earlier. In that moment, I felt the circle close. The house was again a place of love, not pain. Afterwards, while everyone celebrated inside, Clara approached me. Mrs. Rodriguez, I know you've suffered greatly. David told me everything, and I want you to know I will never, ever disrespect you. You built this family. I'm just asking to join it. I hugged her tightly. You don't need to ask, dear. You're already part of it. That night when everyone left, I remained in the garden. I looked at the stars and spoke to Robert as I sometimes do. We did it, old man. They almost defeated us, but ultimately we won. The house still stands. David learned. And this time, he'll choose wisely. The wind whispered through the roses, and I swear I felt Robert smile because second chances exist. Not to erase the past, but to build a better future with lessons learned. And this time, my family knew exactly what to protect and what never to allow again. 2 years after that transformative night, I find myself sitting in my garden watching my grandchildren play among the roses. Patricia teaches them plant names. David prepares lemonade inside. I hear his genuine, light laughter, so different from the broken man who wept in my arms 2 years earlier. Clara proved to be exactly who she appeared, authentic, kind, real. They married a year ago in a simple garden ceremony. Nothing extravagant, close family and true friends. She wore a simple white dress. Mrs. Rodriguez, she told me that morning as I helped with her hair, thank you for giving David another chance. And thank you for giving me one too. You never needed a chance, dear. You arrived being yourself. That's all I ever asked. Now they live in their own apartment but visit every Sunday. Clara helps in the garden. David repairs things, but it's no longer obligation or manipulation. It's simple, true love. Maria remains in another state but we speak daily. Last month she visited with news, pregnant again, a girl. She wants to name her Elena. So she never forgets her grandmother's strength, she told me tearfully. My sister Rosa visits every Thursday. We drink coffee, knit, gossip about neighbors. Simple things reminding me happiness needn't be complicated. I heard little more about Sophia after Andrea's call. Through grapevines, I learned she remains in Florida, changed jobs frequently, her family never forgave her. A small part of me felt pity, a very small part. She chose her path, lies over truth, greed over love, manipulation over honesty. Those choices have consequences no money erases. David never mentioned her name again. Neither did I. Some people don't deserve memory space. 3 months ago, reviewing bank statements, I found an anonymous deposit of $45,000. I knew. I called David. Sweetheart, did you deposit money into my account? Silence. It was Sophia's debt to you, Mom. The money she borrowed never repaid. It took 2 years, but I saved it with interest. David, you didn't have to. Yes, I did. Because even though she asked, I allowed her to use you. That debt was mine too. I used that money to renovate the kitchen. Not from necessity, but because I wanted every house corner to hold only good, new memories. This afternoon, watching my family gathered, I reflect on everything that occurred, the pain, betrayal, humiliation, but also the strength I discovered, lessons learned, dignity recovered. Clara approaches with tea. What are you thinking about, Mom? She started calling me that 6 months ago with genuine affection. I'm thinking it was worthwhile. All the pain was worthwhile to arrive here. You wouldn't change anything. I consider honestly. I would trust less initially. I would set boundaries immediately. But the rest? No, because the rest taught me who I truly am, and taught David who he wants to be. David emerges with lemonade, kisses Clara's forehead, smiles at me. A complete man, not the puppet he was. Do you know what today is? I ask suddenly. What day, Grandma? My granddaughter asks. Exactly 2 years ago. I reclaimed my home on my birthday, the worst and best day of my life. Why the best? My grandson asks. Because that day I stopped being a victim and became owner of my life again. David raises his glass. To Mom, the strongest woman I know. Everyone toasts, Maria via video call, grandchildren, Rosa, Clara, and I, Elena, 71 years old, owner of this house and my destiny. I toast too. To dignity, which no one can take unless you permit it. To second chances we build ourselves. To knowing when to forgive and when to release. And to finally understanding that real victory isn't destroying those who harm you, it's remaining yourself despite them. I look at the imaginary camera, as if seeing every person hearing this story. If you're experiencing something similar, know this, your dignity is non-negotiable. Regardless of love, whether yours or theirs. Whether it's your child, in-law, spouse. No one has the right to make you feel invisible in your own life. Some will call you selfish for defending yourself, difficult for setting boundaries, cruel for refusing. Let them. Because ultimately, you must live with your decisions. And it's better to live with the peace of having defended your worth than the regret of having permitted your erasure. This was my story. Of betrayal, yes, but also resurrection. Of discovering that even at 68, you can roar like a lioness. And if I could, you can too. It's never too late to reclaim your voice. Never too late to say enough. Never too late to choose yourself, because true wealth isn't what you possess, it's what you refuse to let them take. If this story touched you, leave a comment sharing where you're watching from. Give a like if you've ever had to defend yourself against someone you loved, and subscribe to Winds of Thought for more real stories of women who refuse invisibility. Remember, your dignity outweighs any relationship. Until the next story. And never, ever let anyone dim your light. Your dignity is non-negotiable, regardless of love. True wealth isn't what you own, but what you refuse to lose.